Hello everyone, I'm Sleepy, and I've got a question for you. Who is Ganondorf? Beyond being one of the most iconic villains in video game history, who is he? To me, he's a cautionary tale. Ganondorf is a man obsessed with power. He was born into a cushy royal lifestyle where he's treated as the most important man there is, yet he still feels it isn't enough. In his mind, what is he the king of? Sand and lowlives? He's someone who always wants more, and he'll do anything to take it from whoever has it. As the reincarnated avatar of an ancient curse born of pure hatred, there was never much hope for Ganondorf to become a good guy. Not to say there wasn't a point where he could have truly wanted more for his people, but along the way he wanted more for himself. It's almost tragic because you don't know how much you can even blame him for his choices. Was he simply born evil, or could he have resisted Demise's curse? All we know is one side of the story because our protagonist is favored by the royal family. Let's put a pause on philosophy though. How do we make a good moveset? Well, here's the twist. Last episode, I made it my top priority to make young Link as accurate to his games as I could. In this video, I won't place such a heavy emphasis on direct references. Uncharacteristic of me, I know, but think about it. Ganondorf as a character and Zelda as a series famously have a gameplay idea first and mold everything else to fit that idea. Today, we'll be doing the same thing. There's 1,000 Ganondorf movesets by now that just try to rip attacks from his fights and see what sticks. But today, I'd like to critically examine Ganondorf and go into this design with a focus and a plan for how he'll play that sometimes lines up more with his lore and personality than his direct gameplay as a boss. But trust me, I won't be ignoring direct accuracy altogether. That's one of the major problems with this design. There's a reason those 1,000+ movesets all try to address this. It's widely agreed that this character is a fucking mess in Smash and is one of the worst implemented characters in the whole series. But I'd like to talk about the one thing the Smash team got right about his design: his presence in a fight. He feels scary to fight, not from gimmicks or oppressive neutral tools, but brute force and sheer power. There's a certain charm to that, so I'll make sure he's just as intimidating and disrespectful as he already is, as well as adding a layer of cunning and deception that would be welcome in his playstyle. That new playstyle being a cross between a heavyweight and a mix-up character. A mix-up character is one who tries to open up their opponent and make them guess for their life. A mix-up character often has one or more moves that look similar but require different defensive options to beat. The problem is that mix-up characters are always fast or have oppressive projectiles because they need to open you up, and typically that's done through speed and good frame data or projectiles. Ganondorf doesn't have any of that, so we'll need to get creative. Most mix-up characters in fighting games rely on knockdowns to get their offense going, and Smash actually has a comparable system. So the basis for Ganondorf's strong mix-up game will come from setting up tech chases and then following those up with slow, powerful kill moves. Surprisingly fair and honorable for a man who's pure evil. But the twisted part comes in how he gets these opportunities. Ganondorf relies on a few things: his new float, which is versatile for movement but not as adept at comboing as Peach, his increased range from the weapons he summons, his command grab, and of course his brute strength and durability. As well as a little surprise at the end, because you know me, I just love adding some extra bullshit to make a character stand out. But let's step back. Ganondorf is a weapon master, like in Tears of the Kingdom. He can materialize different weapons into his hands from shadows and then make them disappear after an attack. I'm not tying them to a direction or category like Byleth. I pretty much just slot in a weapon if I think it's the best tool for the job. Ganondorf attacks with magic, the Great Sword, and now heavily relies on his iconic Demon's Trident. While this suggestion wasn't always common, somewhere along the way people stopped asking for the sword and started asking for the Trident. Maybe since the sword's implementation hasn't been the most interesting. In any case, I'm glad people have caught on for the most part, because I think the Trident is cooler and has deeper ties. Even though he now uses these weapons, I want to avoid making him reliant on careful spacing and safe poking, because that's just not very Ganondorf. Ganondorf's dodges have him disappear or float around in a blur to reposition, just like his boss fights. Several of his magic attacks have been recolored to a black and purplish mix that more resembles Malice. His strongest magic is more red to resemble Gloom. He has a new costume based on the Vo armor set from Breath of the Wild. While using this costume, Ganondorf's trident becomes a Gerudo spear, and the Great Sword is a golden claymore. Ganondorf's movement sees an upgrade. He moves more like Simon Belmont. A relatively huge improvement, but god is that pathetic. That means run speed, friction, and jumps were tweaked. And notably, initial dash is actually worse, meaning on top of not being much faster, he's accessing that speed slower. Phenomenal start, dude. To make up for his awful movement speed and lackluster anti-airs, Ganondorf can now hold jump to float mid-air. Groundbreaking, right? I know. I'm not a genius for suggesting something that 13-year-olds on Smashboards have been asking for since 2002. But listen, there could be subtle but impactful differences that get glossed over. Float greatly decreases his fall speed and greatly increases his horizontal speed. He can move left to right even faster than Peach. It doesn't last quite as long, but his float also gets refreshed once per airtime when you get hit, unlike Peach, so his recovery is fantastic. But probably the most important difference between their floats is that Ganondorf can start floating in the middle of doing an aerial. Peach has to float before or after. This changes the way you use float a lot. Since it makes you fall slightly, it's not as adept at Peach's float for helping with combos. You mostly want to use this in your pressure and to make yourself move unpredictably. It allows you to float right above people and whiff punish with Dare or go for ambiguous cross-ups. As this is crucial to Ganondorf's kit, I had to redesign several of his moves with it in mind, which I'll bring up as I go along. But just because he moves better in the air, doesn't mean he's an air-focused character. He plays very grounded, thanks in large part to his fantastic set of ground normals. Ha! Ha! Jab is one of those fantastic ground normals. He does a swift backhand, which has loads of utility stuffed into one move. It's your fastest move, your best anti-air, it has kill power, can be fitted in combos, and reflects projectiles. You do it a lot. And said reflector will turn any projectile you touch into the infamous, heat-seeking, glowy orb of doom we all know and love.
Hey, you stole that from Mock Rock.
Shut up, nerd. I know it's not the most creative suggestion anymore, but it works, okay? I like roll compression. It's good to start the video with the no-brainers out of the way. And like float, the little details can make a world of difference, so let me explain. They're incredibly slow, so you can try hitting his orbs back, but this ain't no Gordo hitbox, so to really play ball with Ganondorf, you'll want disjointed attacks or a good reflector. But these things carry enormous risk and reward for both of you. It will paralyze people that it hits, and lock people in shield who try to block it. The name is fitting, because once you get stuck in the DMV, you won't be leaving for a while. Well, potentially. It has a base amount, but the length of the paralysis and damage will increase with each reflection up to Volley 5, where it breaks on them. In the case where it breaks on them, it will do damage and knockback, but won't paralyze for balance purposes. There's a pretty massive difference in stun between 1 and 4, encouraging you to use it strategically. The reflector on Jab is fairly active, which helps, but Ganondorf's speed means he can get outmaneuvered and thrown into his own attack. Forward tilt is a bit different. Most people don't change F-tilt, but perfection just doesn't please me. The new F-tilt is a 2-hit Rekka that starts with a quick knee strike. Then, the second hit is an angleable front kick. F-tilt 1 is stubby but incredibly fast and can be cancelled early by crouching or jumping, making it safer. You can follow up these cancels with jab or grab. F-tilt 2 is obviously strong and his leg is intangible during the attack. The upward version has the most knockback, while the downward version deals the most shield damage and has a sweet spot that spikes. F-tilt is overall one of his best moves, in large part due to the first hit's ability to provide safe mix-ups and combos that heavyweights normally don't get. Up tilt is not just one of the worst moves in Smash, but also one of the ugliest. Nearly everyone axes this axe kick when making a redesign, and for good reason. But there's just something about it that I like. Maybe crushing you beneath his heel is just a solid idea executed poorly. But for the life of me, I just don't know how to make it look good. So let's make it into a reasonably slow but strong attack that moves him forward a bit. Much of its identity is altered, but the high coverage and crushing power will play a valuable role in his kit. Now he charges up a magic orb above his head, and puts all his weight into an overhead swipe, and launches it into the ground in front of him. The orb then explodes for early kills. The charging phase has no hitbox, so it has a lot of startup, but also a pretty neat gimmick that can trip people up. When he lifts his leg up, it's to guard while generating power. This gives his leg, and only his leg, super armor that lets him tank any move and land the up tilt. Said up tilt deals very heavy shield damage and enough stun to make it safe. It hits twice and the arm has some intangibility. Plus, it can actually still 2-frame. The more I thought about it, the more it seemed totally in character for him. For down tilt, I think it would be best to keep things physical. From this pose, I think he could throw his weight into a low-hitting dropkick, one of his faster moves, and it slides him forward a nice distance, but it won't cross up shields. It's still pretty good for low profiling under a lot of attacks when spaced. It's punishable on shield, but it's fairly active, and launches foes horizontally with a lot of power. The active frames make it good for catching neutral tech and tech away on many characters. The late hit also 2-frames and can shield poke if you chunk their shield. Dash attack is a really important move in his kit. The move was changed from a tackle to an advancing punch covered in dark magic. It's slow and has a very similar startup animation to Flame Choke, so if the opponent tries to spot dodge on reaction, they'll get hit. The move is exceptionally strong and has some armor before the first active frame. But if it gets blocked, then Ganondorf will be punished for massive damage, though he does have an extra trick. The armor on startup can be combined with a Dacus, basically giving Ganondorf a sliding armored up smash. But if the opponent reads that, well, you got outplayed, what can I say? Speaking of, forward smash is a brutal stab forward with his trident, comparable in speed and range to Byleth's, but a bit more end lag.
Ganondorf
Killed a guy. Did you throw a trident?
Yeah, there were horses and a man on fire, and I killed a guy with a trident.
However, if you land the tip of this attack, he impales the opponent and throws them forward. It's a command grab, so it can't be shielded. The sour spot can be shielded, but even that part is really strong. Up smash is largely unchanged. Yes, it's derivative, but it fits really well in the moveset, so kudos. Down smash is a nice blend of physicality and magic. He leaps up and stomps the floor, sending lingering shockwaves of malice on both sides of him. It's highly disjointed and active, but it's also a committal move with roughly average startup. Although the startup is better than you'd think since his legs are intangible when he jumps, letting him high profile some moves like Sora. Down smash is best used for tech chasing. Thanks to the range and abundance of active frames, it beats neutral getup and most rolls, but thanks to the high profile, it will also beat some getup attacks when timed properly. Typically just the smaller characters. In that case, as long as Ganondorf reads your timing, he can cover all options with just down smash. The early hitbox is a powerful vertical KO option, but has low range compared to the late hit. The late hit won't launch opponents, but will guarantee a trip that leaves you at least plus 11, which could be enough time to react to their getup option or nab a free down tilt if your reflexes aren't all there. This move is pretty ridiculous, but despite how fun it is to just throw out in neutral, it only hits grounded opponents, meaning you have to use it with caution, because remember, sucky anti-airs. Ganondorf got a new animation, as well as a unique mechanic tied to his grab. If you taunt while grabbing someone, you can instantly initiate a grab release. This leads to nothing, and the applications of this are highly niche, so mainly this is just a way of further taunting your enemy. Basically, I got you!
I could kill you, but I want to catch you again.
First up is his dash grab. Dash grab has increased range since he now lunges forward more. The range is pretty nice to have, but it's more punishable if you miss. Pivot grab is exceptionally disjointed as he now uses dark magic to telekinetically grab people. It's not even that slow, so it puts people in a dirty guessing game where he can back air your shield and then pivot to either down tilt or grab. Down throw now recycles the attack portion of Flame Choke, working almost the same but with less frame advantage. It may not be the most rewarding, but it's the easiest way to set up tech chases and can be very hard to react to. Forward throw is slightly stronger than before. When his fist connects, it always creates a dark red particle effect. Back throw has Ganondorf slam you on the floor behind him and blast you with dark magic when you pop up. This is a slightly better kill throw. Up throw has Ganondorf lift you up on his palm with one hand, then shoot a big blast of magic point blank. It's a nice consistent kill option at very high percents. His aerials were very hard to settle on because giving him float comes with a lot of things you should and shouldn't do. Neutral air was changed. After hearing that, you could be understandably upset. I mean, Ganondorf's Nair was broken, but let's be real, it was ugly. And I think Nair being so over-centralizing in Ultimate led to a much less interesting character than the one we saw in Smash 4. Basically, Ganondorf uses his trident to do a slower but stronger version of Palutena's Nair, with evil fire at the tip, so it's cooler, trust me. Compared to the old one, it has better coverage and equal power, plus it always launches forward, making it consistent and easy to work with. The startup is average, even if the total duration is glacial. But it's incredibly good when combined with float, letting you pressure someone's shield with Nair, then float away during the high end lag. It also gives you a very powerful edgeguard tool, even if it's a bit slow and less disjointed than expected. On top of that, it has niche combo potential. It has a landing hitbox that lingers, and it leads to good reward on hit. The landing hitbox won't launch them very far, but it will always lead to a tech chase that enables his main gameplay loop really effectively. Forward air is like Link's jump attack. Ganondorf leaps forward with his trident and stabs down. It's a stall and fall whose landing hitbox creates a powerful explosion of malice. While it has awful landing lag, the explosion fully covers Ganondorf and has deceptively long active frames. The trident itself does minor knockback on the late hit, but has an early hitbox that deals damage without knockback. Instead, it's a hit grab that pins opponents for you to slam into the floor and explode them, or drag them off stage. If Ganondorf has lower percent than the opponent, he will die second off stage. He does a little hop at the start of fair that you have control over, like bouncing fish. Some of you don't look convinced. Afraid this stall and fall fair won't be good? I understand. It's new and weird, but remember that he can use float to slow down his descent and mix up the timing on when or even if he hits the ground. Now it's a pretty solidly good move. It's not only unique, but also really cool. If you space yourself correctly at some percent, you can edge cancel Nair into fair for an extra hype Ganon side. Up air is another move I changed primarily because it looks genuinely horrible. Old and ugly and busted. I like this frame where Ganondorf becomes a human swastika. You think this was a clever reference to him being the king of evil? Do you think Elon has this up air? We already know what his Nair looks like. Well, I don't believe for a single second that this heavy-ass bastard could do this move. Or Ganondorf. Dude's fully armored and weighs 500 pounds at least. Give me a break. So, it's gone. What now? Well, the old up air was really good for a lot of reasons, but none of those reasons are because it was a good juggling tool. Ganondorf is far too slow to want a juggling tool, not even with float. So, I saw this as a good opportunity to experiment and add new tools. So up air is a swipe, nearly identical to the scrape hitbox he does at the end of Dark Dive, with the exception that it's now a command grab. He does a flip and tosses you beneath him. It's a pretty fast move in terms of startup and animation, so it can be hard to tech. Luckily, he's not putting much force into the throw, so it's unlikely to outright kill without a follow-up like Dare or Fair. Back air is the same idea as before, except Ganondorf crushes an electric ball in his hand, creating sparks. However, despite looking similar, it got some meaningful changes under the hood. Compared to his old bear, it has a longer lasting hitbox and electric properties. The move has more startup now, however the move is insanely oppressive on shield as it's -3, meaning it puts you in the same frame traps as Cloud. It's especially potent when used with float, but the trade-off is that you need to get in closer and it's easier to parry. Down air looks stronger than ever as Ganondorf's legs spark a subtle dark red aura. It deals more shield damage and buries grounded opponents. Beyond that, it's programmed to deal bonus damage to downed opponents. Is this necessary? Let me cook.
The yeas are 50, and the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the nomination is confirmed.
Shield Special has Ganondorf take his iconic pose from Ocarina of Time to show off his glowing Triforce of Power, and that's it. It's basically a taunt for now. Don't worry about that when we have cooler moves to talk about. Ganondorf's old neutral special was removed. Why are you making that face? Did you really want another slow, useless kill move? No! Instead, we have what's called Demon's Wrath. Ganondorf uses the greatsword to slam the floor in front of him. It has swift startup, but ruinous end lag. You might be making assumptions right now, but hold it. It's a very simple looking move with a lot going on. It's another move that's built for punishing mistechs, but a damn good one. When he slams the ground, it will hit the entire stage, with the shockwave sending people straight up with set knockback. The limitation is that it will only actually hurt people who are downed or in hit stun. If the opponent is neither, then the shockwave does nothing, and all you have is a little sword swing that shakes the screen. The set knockback is nice, but the hefty end lag undercuts its combo potential. It also doesn't have many active frames, but hey, near instant full screen range needs downsides, who'd have thought? When used mid-air, there are no shockwaves obviously, so the move just acts like a laggier version of Shulk's forward air. Not terrible since his actual fair is kinda weird, and he has float so he can afford it. But yeah, the ground slam is exclusively a combo extender, which is rare. And that was the tapped version of the move. When held down, it goes from a low startup high end lag move to a high startup low end lag move. This time when he sends out a shockwave, it covers the entire floor in gloom. And still, it only affects you if you're downed or in hit stun. But now that it lingers on stage and Ganondorf is free to move around, look at how much of his kit becomes scarier. He can try to knock you into the gloom hands with jab, down tilt, down throw, nair, etc. Imagine snatching someone through a platform with up air and throwing them into the gloom. So many of your moves now become combo starters even if they weren't before. And don't even get me started on how crazy Demon's Wrath is in doubles. It's horrifying. But the long startup makes it really easy to punish or kill him for trying to set it up. Also, you can just hit Ganondorf and the gloom will disappear. Another bonus is that the actual sword portion of this move gains kill power when it's charged, and it becomes a spike. Side special was tough to choose. I condensed Ganondorf so efficiently that I had room for a new side B. A burst option is tempting, but I can't overdo his mobility options because that's a core design aspect. So I decided to give him another ledge trapping tool. It's more niche, taking inspiration from Smash 4 Zelda Down B. Ganondorf can charge this move up and send out a Phantom Ganon. Visually, we're either going with the one from Ocarina of Time or Tears of the Kingdom, and the first one is very tempting. I'm gonna level with you. I really want the horsey, but I don't know how it would work. Horses are really big, or so I'm told. Anyway, the charging animation can look similar to F Smash, but without the trident in his hand, so you have to look closely. When summoned, his Phantom rides forward a short distance wielding a trident. You can change the angle of the attack by holding a cardinal direction when you release B. By default, or by holding forward, Phantom Ganon will swipe in front of him. By pressing up, you can make him jump and slash to cover jumps. When he's done, he disappears back into a portal. Despite appearances, this move is outclassed by Zelda Phantom in terms of speed and power, and even the range is equal at best. It charges slower, has far worse coverage, and opponents can run straight through Phantom, making all previous problems worse. Worst of all though is that unlike Zelda, Ganondorf can't attack alongside the Phantom. He's stuck in the animation for too long. I decided this was important not only because it would be really strong and tune his playstyle away from what we've already built, but also because it fits his personality better. You wouldn't want to ever get the impression that he and his Phantom are teammates. No, that's a minion, a goon, that's a grunt, and he'd kill it at a moment's notice.
Your life literally is as valuable as a summer ant. Cause what are you here for? To worship me? Kill yourself. I mean that with 100%, with 1000%.
Anyway, I did say cardinal directions, but only mentioned two. The back and down inputs are faint versions of forward and up. Basically, they don't have a hitbox at all, but Ganondorf can start moving soon after you release B instead of waiting for the Phantom's attack. This is likely the best part of the move, since on a character with such a strong punish game, the threat of this move is often better than landing it. It can be hard to tell the feint version apart from the normal one at a glance, so it makes the opponent hesitate and gives Ganondorf an opportunity to make you pay for it. So even if it doesn't kill early, when they do get to kill percent, throwing the feint version out constantly will start conditioning your opponent to play stupid.
Oh, how delightfully deceitful.
Up special is called Piercing Darkness. What do you know? Another simple looking move with a lot to talk about. First off, can Ganondorf even teleport in human form?
It's not any good because it's got fucking.
I'm gonna say yes, because magic. Many Ganondorf movesets give him a teleport, however, I don't often like the implementation. Many are too linear or rigid. I don't want Ganondorf to have a teleport that's too quick or too clunky, so for this one, I'd like to make a chargeable teleport so that there's a natural scale of a quick teleport that goes no distance, and a slow interceptable recovery that goes far. The uncharged teleport is immensely useful on stage as it's basically your only way to reposition yourself quickly. But even if it only goes about roll distance, it's faster than rolling, and you can sprint directly out of it to circumvent your initial dash. The input is a little tight though, especially doing several uncharged teleports in a row. As you hold B, however, Ganondorf will spin his trident above him, and you can throw it in any direction you want upon release. The spinny charge can be cancelled but not stored. The trident itself has a hitbox while spinning which can protect you from edgeguard attempts, as well as a hitbox when he throws it that's weak but gets stronger the further it goes. A well-spaced up B can be edge cancelled, letting you combo the trident toss into an up air and send them below ledge. My favorite part of the recovery is that in addition to the distance the move has, the mix-up potential is great too. You can throw the trident into the wall and Ganondorf will have an animation taking the trident out. You can cancel this animation with a special wall jump. I did consider letting the opponent reflect his trident to disrupt his recovery, but I'm not sure that's necessary, and if one of the stated goals for Ganondorf is to give him a good recovery, then that change undermines it a bit too much. I think the move's in a good spot, but if you think it's too strong, let me know. Down special is Le Piece de Résistance, the best for last. This is where Flame Choke ended up, meaning this will score you the easy tech chases you need to enable your whole game plan. Unlike a lot of Ganondorf movesets, I didn't build Ganondorf around Dead Man's Volley. I built him around Flame Choke, which I believe to be his most important move. It's the perfect amount of cunning, disrespectful, power-flexing evil that Ganondorf thrives on, which means it received a lot of changes for the better. First thing, the move functions differently depending on whether it's used on the ground or the air. On the ground, he goes straight forward. In the air, he rises a little before coming down at you from an angle, much like Terry's power dunk. It doesn't put you in freefall anymore, and by holding down the B button, you can rise higher before falling. The ground version can be charged too, but charging Flame Choke only affects damage and not frame advantage. The next major change is that unlike down throw, the move is untechable, and wow. A dive kick command grab recovery tool that leads to hard knockdowns that could kill at 40 would be an unholy abomination on any character that isn't Ganondorf. But even without many tools to pressure shield safely, this move would be hard to react to in combination with Fair, which you can't spot dodge. The flowchart is basically get in range to Bair, or F-tilt, then cancel that into a jump and make them guess what you're coming down with. And if they guess wrong and you flame choke them, now they're on the ground and you can play up mind games where you make them guess with repeated flame chokes or bounce smashes or dash attacks or whatever. And yes, this whole sequence requires you to get in and them to guess wrong and then guess wrong 5 more times, and any knockdown that isn't from flame choke can be teched, but still, what if it happens? What if the Ganondorf player has telepathy? Then what? You lose, that's what. Probably. Down B also has utility at close and long ranges, because when he slams into the ground after aerial flame choke, it flings debris into the air. A seemingly harmless detail because the rock that gets sent up is a projectile that deals no damage. However, Ganondorf can jab the rock right before it touches the ground, and since it is a projectile, it turns into a dead man's volley, creating automatic pressure with the jab into rock stun. Because remember, flame choke guarantees a jab. A larger punish will require you to read their getup option though. You can't, for example, true combo flame choke into the new down smash. The frame data just isn't there. But it covers nearly everything. One extra funny thing you can do is taunt. Doing a taunt right after down B gives your taunt super armor and lets you cancel it into other moves. So the idea is to read a get up attack, taunt, then cancel into a bigger, stronger move after tanking the hit. Doing something like that feels extremely in line with why people play Ganondorf. But something's not right. I did my absolute best to make Ganondorf a good character. He's better than ever, yet I still feel like he'd be kinda underwhelming. All of his strengths depend on getting in, and he just can't. Maybe there's truly nothing you can do to break the curse of Ganondorf. He's just never gonna dominate the tier list. Wow, can you believe we're already at the final smash? Wrong! You people are gonna hate this. This boss has 2 faces. You managed to take down the final boss. But just as you're ready to celebrate, he gets back up. The second phase of the final boss is a staple video game trope among villains. It's pretty surprising that Smash hadn't applied this tradition to a playable character till Sephiroth, considering it was more than happy to phase to us with its actual bosses. God, I love Dracula. But Dracula's not playable, and Ganon's actual boss fight is pretty awesome. So how similar would he be to a playable Ganon? Well, flavor-wise, Ganon is less like Sephiroth getting serious and more of a Faustian bargain. Remember, Ganondorf is a man who is obsessed with power, and that obsession has repeatedly ruined him. Ganon's beast form is a representation of how power corrupts his mind, body, and soul. He achieved what he wanted, gaining ultimate power, but it cost him everything else. Ganondorf in the Zelda series is an evil man, driven by his obsessions. He's given countless chances to move on, yet always doubles down. How about you? If you main Ganondorf, what do you desire more than anything else? Frame data? Range? Speed? You want to be able to get in, right? What are you willing to trade for it? Just hear me out. His visual design doesn't line up with any past Ganon 1-to-1, but it takes most inspiration from Ocarina of Time. Notably, his tail is much less prominent here. I'd like to see an original Ganon with design elements from other Ganons mixed in. For his up taunt, he swings his swords down and roars. Might seem boring for now, but in a few minutes, you'll understand that I'm actually Adolf Hitler for this choice. For his side taunt, he flashes a shit-eating grin and taps his temple while chuckling at you. For down taunt, he summons a flaming bat and crushes it in his hand. And, as a bonus, if you transform into Ganon while playing on the Great Plateau stage, you'll trigger a blood moon in the background. This is purely cosmetic, but does make any fight much cooler.
You must die!
Ganon is only available at very high %, but you'd be making a mistake by treating it as a comeback mechanic. This is simply Ganon refusing to die. He's arguably worse in this form, although in a few minutes you probably won't believe me. The way you activate Ganon is first you have to be over 150%. Then Ganon gains a dark red glow around him. If you shield special, then Ganondorf transforms into Beast Ganon. Grrrr! I reject my humanity! Zelda! Ganon is optional, and you never have to engage with this mechanic if you don't want to. Till now, I've made a perfectly functional character, and Ganon has unique downsides that you might not want to deal with. Ganon isn't just a buffed up version of his base moveset, he's a different beast. Ganon is huge, but he's still not the titan he is in his boss fight. Only a bit taller than Bowser, actually. He's slightly heavier now, and borrows Bowser's tough guy mechanic, but his heavy armor won't activate if you hit his back. A way to subtly reference his tail weakness. Ganon is obviously a monster. Ganondorf was already an extreme archetype that min-maxed for attack, but while Ganondorf has to play a slow-paced methodical neutral until he finally gets a chance to run his offense, Ganon trades his numerous mix-up tools for a rushdown playstyle that turns neutral into a game of mashing square pegs in round holes. Ganon may have less mix-up tools, but the one he has is infuriating enough to make up for it. Sure, he has weaknesses. He can no longer float, he lost a lot of important normals, and most obviously, even if he's heavy, you can't play as Ganon without being at 150%, so just throw him off stage. But this man got fast. He went the Bowser route. His run speed now lets him chase some of the fastest characters in the game, and he doesn't need his moves to be safe on shield if he can simply decimate it at a moment's notice. So if you're a super heavy that's faster than Mewtwo, who cares about a bad recovery? Or even some laggy moves? It's not like Ganondorf had the best frame data. What do you have to lose? Well, everything. The price isn't just becoming a glass cannon, that's an easy choice. If you die as Ganon, you lose 3 stocks. Game over. Choosing to use the Triforce of Power is do or die, and you're saying, I don't care anymore, one of us is dying right now. Your mistakes are permanent as Ganon and all but ensures that it's only worth it when your back is against the wall. I believe making Ganon a character that gets stronger when he has nothing left to lose is a really interesting direction for him. I would have to believe it to even attempt balancing something this ludicrously polarizing. And I believe that is the proper word, because regardless of whether I succeed today, Ganon can only ever be balanced at best, not healthy. Ganondorf is among the more fair characters I've made, contrasted with Ganon, who is a slot machine character who can't get honest wins. Do I sound judgy? Yes, I do judge you for picking Ganon. You are selling your soul. I hate you. Then again, I did make the rules. So let's at least have fun being evil. Jab is one of his better moves. It's a 1-2 strike with his swords. The move is fast, so you can do jab 1, delay, and jab 1 again until you want to do the second jab. The second jab is a lot more punishable, but has some more knockback to it. The most obnoxious part though is that you can walk around while jabbing just like Steve, which is the main reason it's annoying to punish. That does mean that jab and forward tilt are the same move, so we can skip that. Up tilt is an upward swing with both swords. Many people are calling it the table flip. It's a good anti-air due to the fast startup and kill power, but it's far from safe. Down tilt is a hoof stomp. It's a slow move and not very large despite moving you forward a bit. It's appropriately strong though and spikes aerial opponents. Dash attack has him slash outward with his swords. The startup isn't great, but the range and damage are incredible, especially the shield damage. Hitting grounded opponents launches them forward, while hitting aerial ones launches them up for a potential juggle. Forward smash has him leap up and slam down with both swords. This move is incredibly slow, but also causes a powerful shockwave that launches anyone in the same area code as him. If you get hit by that sweet spot, you're gonna get cooked out back like his name's Tim Ganon. Up smash is a big swing with both swords. Faster startup than expected, but he's gonna pay for it with the end lag. Down smash resembles the malice generated by Calamity Ganon. He gathers power and channels it into a dark cloud that circles him. The black mass starts behind him to make a full circle before disappearing. While using this move, you can see the necrotic senescence in Ganon's face, until it's over when life finally returns. It's too slow to be practical, but is among his strongest attacks damage-wise. Grab is fairly standard, if a little slow and stubby actually. His throws do a lot of damage, but don't really kill in contrast to everything else here. Down throw has Ganon slam you into the floor by your leg twice. Forward throw has him impale you with his swords, then kick you away. Back throw has him shove you to the ground behind him and step on your head. This has an earthquake hitbox and free-for-alls. Up throw has Ganon lift you up on his swords and call down a bolt of lightning on himself. Neutral air has him slash down with both swords, making an X. It has high startup but low end lag, and the hitboxes hitting so low makes it a fantastic jump-in tool. It's stupidly safe and combos into fair, which is nice, to say the least. It's kind of half the character, since his other aerials are just big slow kill moves. Forward air makes Ganon slam his swords into each other directly in front of him. The impact makes a loud metallic clang and causes sparks to fly. I like this move a lot. It's obviously very slow to help sell the power, and the hitbox is fairly narrow, meaning you have to use it like Byleth Bear. But the sound and visual effects will hopefully sell the absurd power the move brings to the table. The sweet spot is indicated by the sparks from the collision, and it will also set people on fire. It will do major damage to someone's shield and be safe if spaced. Up air uses his horns to headbutt above him, similar to Bowser. It's among his smaller moves and it carries a lot of risk, but hits incredibly hard. Back air uses the swords to slam them down into you one after the other. It's just a simple raw spike, but it hits twice. It's massive enough to actually be safe if spaced. Down air has him plunge down both of his swords for a simple but highly disjointed and powerful spike. It also has a pretty massive landing hitbox, but the end lag is rough. So far, Ganon has a smattering of good moves mixed in with copious crappy ones. The reason is because he's a B-button character. The gimmick with Ganon's special moves is that while they're incredibly simple in nature, they're frustrating to deal with because they have similar startup animations to each other where Ganon swings down while roaring. It's telegraphed in audio and animation, but mistaking one for another can often get you killed. Neutral Special is a versatile energy projectile fired when he swings his swords down. It has a version where you press it once or twice. Version 1 is a pretty mean looking Destructo disc that's fired over a long distance and explodes. It has a delay before it starts flying and lots of end lag. It deals very high damage but can't launch people far, preventing you from playing too passive and relegates it to a similar role as Wolf's Laser. An apt comparison thanks to the close range hitbox. Him swinging down has a semi-spike you can use to kill with as well as destroy enemy projectiles. If you can find the time to set up version 2, then instead of roaring, Ganon touches the disc and transforms it into a slowly advancing orb that carries people with multiple hits before exploding. This orb grows flaming bat wings to slightly flutter up and down. It's risky to set up, but you can attack alongside the bat to combo off of it or break shields. Side Special has Ganon slash down, then charge forward like a boar. It's meant to resemble Twilight Princess Ganon, albeit not one-to-one for obvious reasons. The function is inspired by his old Final Smash, however you can aim it slightly up or down. It retains the spike hitbox and has super armor. It kills obviously, and you can delay it slightly by holding the B button, but it's really unsafe on shield. Up Special is a manual 2-part attack. For the first hit, Ganon does an invincible rising slash with meager height, but you can press B again to make Ganon do a spin attack upwards and gain a little extra boost. Emphasis on little, as Ganon only does one spin instead of Link several. The spin attack is a single hit with a lot of power behind it, but few active frames, and it doesn't snap to ledge as easily as the first part. Useful, but very exploitable. Down Special is a simple but powerful command grab. The start of the animation makes him swing and roar, but it's a little off, and he doesn't have a hitbox like the other two moves. The animation is faster than the others, making it hard to register in a split second. On the ground, he'll rush straight forward, while in the air, he'll rush forward and down. Once you land it, you'll pin the opponent flat and lean in to deliver a point-blank laser beam to their face. It's a long-lasting multi-hit, and you can aim the laser during the move to influence the launch angle of the final hit. It's much less powerful when used in the air, but getting to choose between spiking them or launching them off the side is pretty nice. Its range, speed, and power make it one of the scariest moves in his kit, and playing against him means you have to constantly be afraid of it. Luckily, dodging this move nets you a very sizable punish. Last but not least are the final smashes, one for Ganondorf and one for Ganon. And honestly, I was running out of steam by this point. Sometimes it feels like I try to fit absolutely everything in and have nothing left for a final smash. I could give Ganondorf a magic lightning attack or somehow make the demon dragon work, but I think the best idea right now is a cutscene final smash. Ganondorf rushes forward to grab you. If he succeeds, he teleports you to his castle from Ocarina of Time and flame chokes you through 17 floors before blowing up the entire thing and leaving unscathed. It's very Smash Ultimate-y. Not too interesting mechanically, but I figure that's okay because power is a simple thing to demonstrate. As for Ganon, he becomes the gargantuan Dark Beast Ganon from Breath of the Wild. He summons a blood moon that covers the earth in darkness. The camera zooms out to show Dark Beast Ganon in the background, charging towards you like an oncoming train. Monsters spawn in randomly to distract you, but once he gets close enough, he jumps up and pounces on the stage to destroy it. When he's coming down, he briefly covers most of the screen and destroys all platforms and solid bits of stage on the way down. The stage regenerates a couple seconds later. Not only do opponents have to time an air dodge to dodge Dark Beast Ganon, they need a good enough recovery to avoid falling under the stage. Pretty gimmicky, but it can be fun. There you have it. 6 years later than expected. Is Ganon stupid? Yes. But I had fun making him, so I don't care. I'm a huge fan of how Ganondorf turned out. I love how he has the ability to toy with you and condition you so strongly that it feels like he's manipulating you into using the moves he wants you to use. I don't think anything could be more Ganondorf than that. Is it perfect? Well, maybe I added a little more than I needed to. Maybe you could argue side B and down B could swap places, but I go with what makes sense to me. Anyway, if you can, drop a like, maybe share it with a friend. Ooh, and hype this video up. I hear it helps smaller creators, and last I checked, I'm quite small. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you again.